Every year brings us new opportunities for personal growth and learning, and yet since my teens, I haven't really engaged in any real education. I've struggled a lot and found life really difficult for an array of reasons, and despite my efforts, I've watched every single year pass me by with almost no significant payoff. I've attempted college and higher education numerous times, but looking at the courses that I chose, I was going for things that I thought I should do, not what I really wanted to do, and so I just never really found where I fit in. I've just worked through my entire adult life, and in 2023 I really thought I'd found something I was passionate about, but it just wasn't sustainable. The workplace was out of balance, the role took more than it gave, and one day I ended up being taken to hospital for chest pains. My skin went grey and my lips went blue, and I was really scared that it was something sinister, like a heart attack. It turned out it was a really bad panic attack, and so that was my sign that I needed to change my environment. Throughout my adult years, I felt really alien to the world. Like I don't fit in, that I'm not like other people, that things just don't work out for me, or that maybe I was just dealt a bad hand from the beginning. I've survived a lot and struggled through even more, but I really want to take control of my life and I want to feel happy. So I'm committing to something that I've chosen for me, and this time I'm seeing it through. I love this. Like, I love making a hot drink. There's just something about it. It's like the smell, the warmth. It's just really soothing. Yeah. Hiya, my name is Seb, and I have made quite a bit of a mess of my life. Life has been really, really hard, and I won't go into everything here, but I haven't had an easy ride in any way, shape, or form, and I've spent years of my life feeling worthless and directionless and like I don't matter whatsoever. And what kind of makes that harder is I've always been bright. I've always been quite, intelligent, and I can wrap my head around most ideas and concepts really quite easily. What I also know about myself is that I'm a bit of a deep thinker. I'm a bit of a slow talker, and I find that the way I am doesn't quite fit in to the world in the same way as it maybe would, or maybe other people find it easier, perhaps. I've had this overarching sense my entire life, or through my life, of wasting time or not making enough use of time, or kind of having this pressure that I put on myself to do with time. Because when I look at my friends, when I look at people around me and their levels of success, and I compare myself to that, I feel incredibly, incredibly behind. And that's really hard. And I think if you're constantly living trying to play catch up, it's always going to be a losing battle when people are, sort of 15 years ahead of you in life. And it's not really ahead, it's just a different path. But it's taken me a really long time to start giving myself some grace. And so all of that coming to a bit of a head, I sort of looked at myself and I realised I was getting really unwell. I was really burnt out. My hair was falling out. I was tired all the time. I have a myriad of health conditions that have come up as well. And that's just no way for anybody to be living. And I know that it's kind of self-imposed pressure, but it's not at the same time. There's a lot of societal pressure as well. And all of that kind of external, I suppose, pressure becomes motivating, I suppose, and that kind of idea of there being this extrinsic reward that maybe is achievable, but you just need to invest enough of yourself that you haven't done up until now because you're lazy, you're worthless, you're whatever. And all of that has just been churning round constantly for such a long time. Around about 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I remember being in school and my school kind of picking up maybe concerns around potential ADD at the time. And I remember my feelings around that were, well, there was a lot of judgment. And I remember very strongly not wanting to kind of go ahead with exploring that because I didn't want to be labelled or be different. And I've felt different forever. I didn't want something to kind of cement that was the case at the time. And so I didn't pursue that. And then in adulthood, I came to a more stable place in my life, and I thought, why not? In the pursuit of understanding myself, why not look into something like that? So I went down that route and I received this diagnosis, and really, because I already kind of, I suppose, identified with the ADHD experience or some of the kind of common experiences, that felt like the right thing to do. It's just it is really bright today. It goes bright and dark, and it's really, it's kind of difficult to set up lighting at the minute because the sun is out and then it's not. We've got some chunky clouds in the sky and then we don't. So I'm going to look very washed out sometimes and very dark at other times, which is super. Maybe if I put a light on, I wonder if that's any better. Perhaps. Now, when I sort of look at my life and the kind of things that have taken place, and I look at my decisions in that time, I can see there were a lot of behaviours that did align with that kind of classic ADHD experience. I've dropped out of education numerous times. I've engaged in really impulsive and reckless behaviours. I have dabbled in a lot of substance misuse. I've job hopped a lot. Nothing has really been consistent, and I think I've been quite an unreliable person for a lot of my adult life, which is really hard because when you can't really trust yourself, how can you really achieve anything? And I'm sort of beginning to realise that those were actions or decisions that were made by a version of me who was hurting, who was vulnerable, who was struggling a lot and was just trying to survive. And I think if I'm being really honest, a lot of it comes down to that sense of inadequacy and feelings of loneliness and isolation and a lot of anger. And a lot of that anger was just kind of directed at life. You know, that kind of like, why me? And why am I like this? And why is my life like this? And that constant questioning and kind of seeking answers that just don't come. So you distract yourself and you make decisions that aren't maybe so healthy. And I think really I was just very unfulfilled in life. And all of that is made harder when you have an absolutely powerhouse of an inherent sense of justice and fairness. It's taken me a long time to realise that things aren't happening to me specifically. Things are happening and they impact me, but I'm not central. And that's been interesting. So I've been doing a lot of kind of self-work and looking inwards, lots of reflection, lots of peace seeking. And to do that, I had to start looking right back, sort of towards my younger self, and kind of assess what it was that my younger self used to aspire to achieve, or just what I wanted from life. What did that kind of younger, purer, more naive or innocent version of myself want in their life? And that was a weird thing to really try and unpick. One of the big things was that I've spent years and years feeling completely inadequate for not having any qualifications, really. And I've got such a mixed relationship with education, and I've worked in education for a while, but I'm not going to go into that today. I've got such mixed feelings about it, that kind of sense of inadequacy has always been so heavy, and the possibility of ever achieving anything or meeting the expectations that I feel were put on me were made impossible because of this mixed relationship. You know, in terms of having a passion or a drive towards something that I really love or brings me a lot of joy or fulfillment, I just didn't really feel that was there. But when I was really combing through, kind of reflecting on my life when I was younger and that version of me, I realised that there's a lot of things I'm passionate about. There's lots of things that I love. There's lots of things that I really, really deeply care about that connect with me on an emotional or a spiritual level. And I just haven't nurtured that for a really, really, really long time. The thing is, though, with the things that I am passionate about or I do really, really care about, they're not necessarily the most mainstream things. They're almost a little bit, I suppose, like anti-establishment almost. And that makes it kind of harder then to feel like you want to fit into a world that functions in a way that you fundamentally disagree with. So I don't really know if I'm ever going to feel like I fit in to the whole thing. But who knows? This is just part of the journey. So I spent a lot of my youth on a farm. My best friend lived on a farm and I was there all the time. And I loved it. I developed this real, or should I say I nurtured at the time, a real admiration for nature, wildlife, for plants, for food, for agriculture, really. And that was probably one of the best periods of time in my life. You would never really, in any given free time, have found me anywhere else other than being outdoors, out in nature, just out for hours, like adventuring and exploring and building huts and kind of falling over and hitting each other with sticks. You know, that was just one of the best periods of my life. And even in my garden at home, my mum let me have my own vegetable patch. So I was trying to grow some vegetables. All the video games at the time I would play were like farming games. I think even then I was seeking a more connected life, something that was a bit more quiet and slow and connected with the planet as opposed to the system, which I think even for a child was quite a strange kind of notion. And I think what was really strange about it, and I know there are lots of young people that are really interested in farming, like agriculture, and for me it was really about Earth and connecting with the planet and that kind of massive system, that ecosystem that we are all a part of. And that would have been my motivation at that point in time, which I don't think is probably the same for everybody who gets into any sort of green career, I suppose. And when I'm like at this point in my life, I have to recognize that I'm really, really lucky because I've been able to kind of do this exploration within myself because I have stability and I have a partner who loves me and cares about me and wants the absolute best for me. And I know I'm really, really lucky to have her. I don't know necessarily that I deserve her, but I couldn't really be more grateful. Even though she does drive me up the wall sometimes, she is there to support my ambitions, what I want to do. She gives me grace when I need it. And for me, that's my sense of community, I suppose. Even though she thinks I'm loopy and we have totally different views on life and kind of the way it should be. So much so that they're almost fundamentally different in lots of ways. She gives me the space to have my views and want my experiences. And she's kind of okay with dipping her toes in the water when it's something I'm really passionate about. And vice versa. And I think it's this kind of weird thing where for the first time in my life, I have somebody around me who sees me, who really, really sees who I am and sees the inside, the outside, the good and the bad. I don't necessarily believe in good and bad, but she sees it all. And she thinks I'm loopy, but she's still here, and I'm lucky, for sure. So when I've been looking back at my younger self and that kind of love of outdoors and that love of nature, I started to try to rekindle that ember, that little spark within me, and try to reconnect to that tiny version of myself that really, really found peace outside and I decided that I would start trying to grow my own food in the garden. Now, we don't have a very big garden, there's not much room, and I've kind of taken it over, and I think that was maybe slightly irritating to my partner, but it's been fun, and I'm looking to do that on a much bigger scale. But I also recognise there is a lot about just general plants, general gardening stuff, general greenery outside of the kind of confines of my space, our space, that I don't know very much about, and I would love to know more about. And I would love to know more about the kind of restorative side of things, how we can all do things better, but specifically how I can do things better in a more respectful way to our planet, to the kind of ecosystem, how I can support insects and other plant life, and how I can do that as naturally as possible while still benefiting in a way that doesn't detract from that ecology. And that was kind of like a light bulb moment for me. And I realized all those baby steps that I've been taking have been leading me to this one place. And all of those feelings around urgency and wanting to achieve things and do things and wanting kind of instant gratification kind of have to go out the window when you're doing something like gardening or trying to cultivate food plants, because you have to wait. You have to wait. You have to be patient. You have to breathe. You have to work in flow with the world around you, that kind of natural world. Being able to plant something and take some time away and then come back and see that something magnificent has happened in your absence. And that is just the way of the earth, I suppose. So after all of these feelings of feeling inadequate and not feeling like I've achieved enough and feeling passionless and directionless and lost and alone and just feeling blur, I had that light bulb moment, and I realised that there's something I could have been doing all along, but there's something that I have never been in the position to do because my life around that kind of attraction, I suppose, the way things were set up, the stability wasn't there. I didn't exist within the right conditions. I think I finally do. So I'm going to be putting myself outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to be doing something new and different, something I've never done before in this way. And I'm going to be going back to college as an adult learner on my own, and I'm going to be studying horticulture. And my first day is tomorrow, and I'm really, really excited, a little bit nervous. Like I said, I'm 33 years old. I don't know how old anybody else is going to be on the course, and age really shouldn't matter anyway. But in terms of just hoping I can find people I connect with, I don't want to be the oldest person there. I don't think I will be. I'm hoping maybe to make some friends, but I'm very excited. So, because my first day is tomorrow, I've done that really generic thing that is almost a bit of a rite of passage, where you buy yourself a bit of stationery. So I'll show you what I've got. It's very, very simple. I haven't gone overboard. I've tried not to go overboard. So the first thing I got was, it's just a blank sketchbook. And I know that there's going to be a lot of plants that I'm going to have to learn. And so that for me also involves drawing them. So that's what I'm going to use this for, which I'm looking forward to. I haven't really done much drawing for a really long time. And that's another thing that I kind of need to reconnect with. But anyway, also got this notebook, which is a Waters and Noble notebook in chocolate brown. It's also got this little pen loop, which I like because I lose pens. Leads me on to my next purchase. Just some black ballpoint pens. They were cheap. I think they were about 70p for 3. So they probably aren't even going to work. But we'll find out. We'll figure it out when we get there. Otherwise, I got some of these, which are my favourite pens of all time. Zebra, Z-grip pens, ballpoint pens, and I love them. They last ages, and the feeling of them when I write is, I can't compare it to anything else. Probably have these tucked in every pocket possible. Then I also got one of these multi-coloured pens. I'm quite excited to use this. I love these. The annoying thing is, I find though, is that I've had quite a few of them, and they're kind of like barrel, I suppose. The blue bit tends to break, so I'm hoping this one lasts me. I'm going to be protecting that with my life. And then I just grabbed some highlighters and then also a folding ruler to sort of match the notebook. I bought this very tiny pencil case. I don't have a pencil case, and I don't like carrying big bulky things around with me, so I think this should do the job really nicely. So I haven't gone too overboard. I thought I would, but I feel like the more stuff I have... So windy. I feel like the more things I have, the more things go without using them, and then the more likely I am to just feel maybe like I'm not doing my best, I suppose. So that's all really exciting. I'm gonna get all of this ready for my first day tomorrow, and then I guess I'll check back in afterwards. So I've just got home after my very first day. Come on. Alright, you want nothing to do with me. Come here. Do you have to? You done? Come here. So I've just got home after my very first day, and my dog is clearly thrilled for me. Your breath stinks. Go have some water. Go on, go have a drink. Go have some water. So I've just got home, and I had a really good first day. It was a bit of an intro. We had a bit of a tour of the campus. I met everybody who's going to be taking the course with me. They're all really lovely, really friendly, similar ages, and people older, and a couple of people younger as well, which is really nice. I was quite nervous about ages and people maybe being much younger than me, so it's nice to have quite a mixed bunch. The instructor is really nice. He's a quirky guy. He's very funny, which is helpful as well. We've been given loads of resources. We were even given some homework, which I wasn't really expecting, but I was at the same time. So over the course of the next year, we have to learn around about 150 different plants, or to identify 150 different plants, and we have to know their horticultural names as well. So I've got 6 to learn today, or this week, which is very exciting. I'm really, really looking forward to kind of just knowing more. So we did a bit of a tour. Next week on Tuesday, we're going to be doing the IT kind of stuff, setting up our student accounts and email addresses and all of that fun stuff. And then we're going to go straight into a practical session. And I think he said we're going to be doing some potting. And I think maybe that will be some shrubs, maybe. But we will see. We will see. What's also really, really nice is the location of the campus is beautiful. And I just felt really, really at home there. You know, there are people walking around in wellies and they're all a bit muddy. And it was almost a bit like being at home in a way, in a very, very weird way. And the course covers a lot, so much, you know, from plant identification to cutting, propagating, growing from seed, planting, to kind of garden layouts, plants that work really, really well together. There's just so much, and I'm really, really excited to begin to learn more about something that I am already, you know, very, very kind of excited about, and learn things that I'm going to be able to implement into my own space. And my partner and I, we want to move at some point to somewhere that's got a bigger garden, and I would love to be able to take a bit of a lead on that and maybe plan things and have a better idea as to what sort of plants go where. So yeah, it's nice to feel a sense of optimism around something I'm doing and kind of a bit of excitement as well, which I haven't really felt for anything in a long time. And like I'm going to get to experience all of this and learn all of this, and that's happening. So right now I am just remembering to be patient and to really immerse myself in the course and the experience, and to get as much from it as I possibly can, learn everything that is on offer. And I think now I'm probably going to go and spend some time in the garden and just enjoy the rest of this sunny day. Quite pleased with these. It's quite a nice little selection. Wasn't kind of expecting much from the tomatoes, but just really, really chuffed. Particularly enjoy this tomato that has a nipple. I've also got this really lovely pepper that's growing. This kind of big boy here. Just going to move maybe away from the road. Life is short, and we could all do better by trying to fill it with as much positivity and learning as possible. You know, having things to look forward to, things that we enjoy, and actually kind of nourishing our souls, because so many of us are going through life feeling so unfulfilled, and a lot of that is because we're just not doing the things that connect to us and connect us with the things around us that matter. So if you'd like to share any of your experiences, I would love to hear them. At the minute, I feel kind of on my own going through this, but I know I'm not. And perhaps if you've got some wisdom to share, then I would be super grateful to hear of that. I think hearing from people who have experienced things and done things way before I have is invaluable. And so I'd be really, really grateful. And of course, I would be grateful of any support, because I know how important it is to be able to connect with other people and share those experiences. It kind of makes them all the more rewarding, and it's just nice to feel aligned to something or somebody outside of yourself or your circle. And it does wonders for that kind of sense of connection and community as well. And on that note, I've got some things to dig, some things to learn, and I should probably get on with that. So thank you for spending this time with me. I'm grateful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week or day, or whatever it is that you're doing, and wherever you are, I hope it is absolutely perfect for you.